We're back on the Marching to Madness College Basketball Podcast this morning with my good friend, Auburn head coach Bruce Pearl. Coach Pearl just got through with surgery 24 hours ago, correct, Coach?
24 hours ago down in Pensacola, Florida, and the best orthopedic surgeon in the world, Dr. James Andrews, put his hands on me and cleaned out my right knee, and that was always my good knee. So I'll be good to go in a few days. Good to be with you, Ken.
Yeah, great to be with you as well, Coach. I know you led Auburn last year to its first #1 ranking ever last season. You finished 15-3, sole possession at first place to end the SEC. We've got to note this: your winning percentage now among SEC coaches is second at 72.6%.
Boy, I tell you what, I hope we can keep saying that 3 or 4 years from now, Ken.
Yeah.
You know why that matters so much? It matters so much because of how good the league is.
Yeah.
We've been able to, get this program to be competitive at a time when the league is gotten so much better.
Mm-hmm.
And last year getting to #1, it wasn't just the ranking. I think we truly were playing the best of any team in the country for about a month there, and in January and early February. We weren't playing our best in March, which is what you'd like to try to do. But I think because our schedule was so tough early, I had so many new guys, and we had to get good quick in order to be able to, deal with the schedule that we had. We maybe ran out of gas a little bit, but guys came to Auburn to make history, and we won our 3rd championship in the SEC in 5 years last year, and it was really special.
Really special. Yeah, you guys had that outright win, like we say, in the SEC, and then Jabari Smith and Walker Kessler are 2 of the top 20 picks in the NBA draft on the first round. That seldom happens anywhere.
No, it was unbelievable how that all came together. When you lose Sharif Cooper and JT Thor to one-and-done situations after COVID, we're very fortunate the transfer portal came in like it did. Zep Jasper and Wendell Green, a couple of mid-major guards that really that were high-major players, high-major competitors, high-major workers. And then, Jabari Smith was a guy we recruited, since his freshman year, and he's coming of age. And I really think having Jabari in the fold helped us get Walker Kessler and KD Johnson. So we really were able to reload that roster last year after a COVID year. And, we were the best team in the league. I mean, I've had championship teams before that weren't the most talented teams. And even though last year's team was picked 5th, I do think the way we were playing, pretty much every night I felt like we were as good as anybody in the league. Arkansas was really talented. Tennessee was really talented. Kentucky's always talented. And Alabama, how good was our league last year? Alabama beats Gonzaga out in Washington, and they beat Baylor, and they beat Houston, and they finished 9th in the SEC.
Yeah. That
tells you how good our league was last year.
That's a good reference point right there. And
of course, anytime I can point to Alabama finishing 9th, it's a good reference point. Compliment, but at the end of the day, that's
I got you. Hey, as you look at the 8 years you've been at Auburn, okay, obviously the program is at a high level and it's been able to maintain. What's the turning point for success for you?
Ken, at every school, it's the chicken or the egg. You got to win in order to get people to come out, but you got to get people to come out in order to win. And at Auburn, they turned out for us right away. That first year with KT Harrell and that group right there, we were probably the least talented team in our league, and yet we won 3 games in the SEC tournament that first year, got to the Saturday game against Kentucky team that won the national championship all the way back in 2014. And that team got things started. And then I'll tell you what, Austin Wiley, nobody gives Austin Wiley enough credit. That young man could have gone anywhere in the country. Of course, his parents both played at Auburn, so we had a real shot at it. But he came to us before we were any good. and saw us playing hard, saw us playing together, and he really helped rebuild our program. And he had some Pied Piper effect, and guys followed Isaac, and now we're in the NIL age, and so rosters need to be rebuilt, and we'll see. We'll see how how we're able. What happens in our league, and if there's any bit of a reshuffling. You see some teams that have been very aggressive and way out in front in the NIL space, and that's going to give them a leg up in recruiting.
You return one of the top backcourts in the nation, in my mind, with KD Johnson, Wendell Green, and of course you got Zip Jasper in there, as a three. Tell me about the fire and energy of KD, and plus him being able to meet the other players on the floor with that fire and energy, and then they have their own niche as you play.
Wendell Green is a guy that and KD Johnson. Let's start with Wendell. Wendell was a very unsung point guard for us last year. He led the league in the assist turnover ratio, one of the best assist turnover ratios in all of college basketball. And of course, you had to guard him, from way out. Wendell's played with a huge chip on his shoulder his whole career because he's not 6 foot tall. And so, a lot of coaches, NBA coaches, or a lot of coaches in our league, man, it's a lot easier to have big guards because you can sort of switch everything, keep people in front. It's a great way to guard. And we have smaller guards because Wendell and KD and Zep are all 6 foot, and roughly speaking, and so we have to guard a certain way to keep our guards on your guards, and but there is experience there. We were very fortunate to have the best front line in college basketball last year. And while our front line is really good, again, with great depth, and we'll talk about that in a second, our guard play's got to improve. Our 3-point shooting percentages have got to improve. And so far in practice this year, they've not. And this summer they didn't, even though we played hard and played effectively. Our 3-point percentages must improve in order for us to be able to be successful.
Yeah, and I know your defense held opponents to 38.6%, which that's something that should have been talked about more, in my opinion.
Well, when you got Jabari and Walker back there blocking shots and changing shots, Dylan Cardwell the same way. We did do a good job making some offense out of our defense, and I think our defense is going to have to continue to do that. Ken, our strength right now, I think, is our 10, 11, 12 guys we got to be, or what you're going to need to see is, look, it was clear that Jabari was our best player last year. It was clear that Walker was in our top 2 or 3 players. KD provided an unbelievable spark up the bench.
Couple of players, you have Johnny Broome and then Johan Trail.
Yeah, he was a double-double guy, obviously, at Morehead State. He's stepping up in class into the SEC, but boy, he's got a real feel. He knows how to score. He knows how to pass. He can put on the floor a little bit. He's a really, really good basketball player. Played almost exclusively with his back to the basket at Morehead State. Why wouldn't you? Scoring. He was extremely well coached there. And then now stepping up, go move into the SEC out of that transfer portal and just night in and night out playing against a better competition. I'm going to extend this game out onto the perimeter a little bit. And then John Broome he's a high major athlete. He's got great size, unbelievable explosiveness, can shoot the 3 ball. He's not nearly as polished as Jabari Smith because he's sort of young in the game, but he's very, very talented. And Janai is going to be those Janai and Yohan are going to be really good players, joining an already good front line with Jalen Williams, who will be a senior this year, left-hander that can really shoot it, can really score it, very athletic. Dylan Cardwell, I think one of the most underrated players in our league. Rebounding, blocking shots. He's improved his ability to score the basketball. And then Stretch Babatunde, right now he's the 5th guy on our roster. And it's on a lot of other rosters, he'd be out there playing a lot. So the front line has got real talent and great depth.
Yeah, and Dylan Cardwell, I've always liked his the spur he gives you inside the game. He's kind of fierce in there, if you will.
He's very emotional, very passionate. He's actually a young man that was, fairly quiet when he got to us, and he just has so much passion, energy, and emotion. We've he lets it come out. He shows it. It's not disrespectful or unsportsmanlike. He's just that's a great personality. You know, he wants to be a minister. He's going to be an
Oh,
incredible minister. He's got this great relationship with the Lord. He studies.
mm,
He knows the scripture. The trip to Israel this year was unbelievable for our team. Everybody connected with the Lord. Um, his connection was probably as strong as anybody's.
yeah, I was going to ask you about the trip to Israel, and I watched all three games on television. So I kind of got a feel for some of your players, but I also thought it was such a beautiful country and things. I'd love to go there one day.
It's a bucket list thing, Ken. And look, after you survived your crash and came out of a coma, and I got to tell the story. You know, your
Yeah,
family called me, and they said one of the things that the doctors had asked is that people that you would be familiar with and recognize their voice to call, and they played that for you. And I don't know if you still have that, but I was hollering
I
at you,
have it.
telling you to wake up and time to go back to work, time to start covering some college basketball. And also through prayer. And I think there was no question that you need to go, and it's God's holy land, and it's the birthplace of all religions, and it's doing
Hmm.
extremely well. One of them I'm going to do when we get off, Ken. I'm going to have I want you to get in touch with my staff. I've got about a 5-minute little piece that I think would be phenomenal to play on your podcast
Sure.
about our kids' trip to Israel. I think the people that watch you and listen to you, I think they'd really enjoy it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll put it on there as well. Coach, it's been a pleasure. I know you got things to do, even though you're working on that knee, man. That's not an old NFL injury, is
No, sir. It's
it?
I've been putting a lot of weight on that right knee for about 42 years, taking to compensate for my left one, and it just got all kind of junk in there. But Dr. James Andrews is amazing. He's the best in the business, and
Yeah.
I had all kind of torn cartilage and a bunch of some gout and some things that were in there that needed to be cleaned up, and he's cleaned it up. And
Hmm.
I'll be out for a few days. We're on fall break right now, so the guys got 4 days off, and so it's
Yeah.
a good time for me to do it. I'll be iced and elevated, and I'll be back out there Monday hollering at him.
There we go. Coach Bruce Pearl, ladies and gentlemen, one of the best at any level in basketball. Coach, it's always a pleasure, man.
It's great to be with you, Ken, and even more. Even it's just great to have you back, my friend. And
Thank
God,
you.
God continue to heal you, and we'll look forward to seeing you during the season.